This episode is for the writer who gives caveats. You know who you are. Oh yeah, I'm writing a memoir, but I'm not a real writer. Or, I don't know, I just like writing, I guess. I don't know if anyone would want to read it. I have met with so many of you who lead like this, and I'm going to be very direct today. Stop it. Today's episode is intended as a gentle call out to all of you listening who have a hard time taking yourself seriously as a memoir writer. Because the truth is that if you don't take yourself seriously first, no one else will either. You are listening to the Memoir Method podcast, the place for writers, readers, and anyone who appreciates the collective power of our stories. In this podcast, we explore the impact of memoir alongside an examination of writing techniques and strategies used in the genre. Whether you are a writer looking for inspiration and guidance or a passionate reader seeking meaningful connections through shared experiences, the Memoir Method podcast is your go-to conversation spot. I'm your host, Charlotte, editor, writer, and the heart behind Charlotte Writes. Let's get started. I was on a call with a writer last year, and when we were talking, her shoulders were kind of hunched. She kept starting and stopping her sentences, had a hard time collecting her thoughts. And then in a whoosh, she said, I just don't really know what I'm doing. I kept listening. And then she followed that up with, I just don't know if anyone would really care about this story. And that's it. I thought that is a problem. It's not that she doesn't know what to write. It's not that she has a writer's block or that she's a bad writer. She did not have conviction in what she was doing. And I knew what this lovely writer wanted me to say. She wanted me to be her cheerleader, to tell her to keep going, and that anyone would be lucky to read her memoir. But I didn't, because being a cheerleader was not going to help her. Here she was looking to me for reassurance and validation when she was treating her own work as cringy. The publishing industry is an ever-evolving industry with moving goalposts. Writing and publishing is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the fickle-minded, whether you publish traditionally or self-publish. Sometimes writers will come to me wanting me to tell them if their memoir idea has legs, if it's a viable idea that agents would be interested in. And I can't tell them that because understanding the pulse of the publishing industry is actually a completely different job from the one that I have. I'm not a literary agent or an acquisitions editor for a publishing house. What I can do, though, is help you dial in what you're passionate about, what you want to talk about, and channel that into a memoir that has you written all over, in, and through it. I can't control the publishing industry, neither can you, but you can control how you write, what you write, and how you talk about what you're writing. That energy is what will set you apart in publishing, and that is what I love to do with writers. That's my superpower as your editor. If you want to query your memoir and sign with a literary agent, which is the traditional route, no one will give you a second look if you think that your own work is cringe. If you want to apologize to anyone who asks about it. If you can't say what it is that you're writing in 30 seconds or less. Even if the words in the query letter don't say, I'm sorry for thinking I could do this, your energy will, and energy communicates way better than anything that you write. That depth of self-doubt and insecurity is palpable, and that creative neediness is repellent to publishers and readers alike. So you're thinking that you'll feel like a real writer when you sign an agent, have a launch date, open up your first box of books, and while it's technically possible to make your way through publishing by dangling that carrot in front of you, that identity that you want to be, that you're just waiting for something to validate you there, it's possible to do that, but that way will always have you doubting yourself. You've heard me say this before. I will say it again. You get to feel like a real writer right now. It will feel delusional in a fun way. Okay, not in a crazy way, but it will feel delusional in a fun way. And it's also your quickest and most fun way to publication. I know that I might be coming off pretty direct right now, maybe even a little harsh, but this is what I want you to take away from this episode. You have to take yourself seriously first, before anyone else does, before I do. You have to be the one to take yourself seriously right now. I'm going to talk about when I didn't take myself seriously because, yes, I'm an editor. I'm also a writer. And so I understand that process. I understand those mental pitfalls. I understand that the ups and downs of that life. I went for years without taking myself seriously as a writer. You may have heard me talk about this before, but I had a streak of several years where I wasn't writing at all. Most of that was, at least initially, attributable to poor postpartum mental health, but not all of it. I had spent my writing life up to that point looking for someone else to tell me that I was good. And then when I wasn't able to write, I shut down my blog. I stopped submitting to publications. My ego told me that, well, guess you're done being a writer. No one else sees you that way anymore. So that was an okay run. That really was the dialogue going on in my head. And it wasn't until 7 years later that I stumbled my way onto a magazine staff where they expected me to write. And then I did. I woke up those creative muscles again and I got my words flowing. So I guess the story is technically showing you that you can wait for someone else to take you seriously first. But damn, I still think of the actual years that I wasted not writing because I wouldn't take myself seriously on my own. Learn from my mistakes, please. Take yourself seriously now. You will save yourself years of progress, years of published work, years of building a readership, of feeling amazing in what you do. I lost that time. I'm trying to make up for it now. But you don't have to wait for someone to tell you that you can do this before you can do it. Now, this delusional thinking is an art, my friend. You don't have to pretend that you're confident because people can see through that. But what I want you to do is hack the confidence system by asking yourself, if I knew that I had a book deal right now, what would I do? If I knew that in 2 years I'd have my self-published book out on bookshelves, what would I do today? So you're almost playing pretend with yourself. Like, oh, I'm going to pretend today that I already have done this, that my readers are already waiting, that I have 1,000 pre-orders. Okay? I want you to pretend and say, if I knew that were happening right now, how would I show up right now? What would I do right now? How would I show up to my writing? What would I do online? That's the headspace I want you to get into. So this delusional feeling, that word I'm using, delusional, it really is just anchoring you into that feeling of publishing a book before you've done it. You don't need to know how it happens, but I do want you to intentionally spend time tapping into the emotions of that experience. I know that we want to know how things are going to work out for us. That's actually out of our control. We, most of the time, can't decide how something happens. What we can do is get our headspace and our nervous system in the right spot so that we can be aware and pay attention to those signals that tell us when to move, who to reach out to, who to query. You don't know how things are going to work out. That's okay. And the hard part is putting that need to know how aside. If you knew that by the end of 2026, you would have a finished memoir, what would you do today? If you knew that your memoir would catch the attention of your dream agent, what would you be doing right now? While none of us can guarantee the future or know exactly how your writing career will unfold, do you see how this simple mindset shift affects how you think about yourself and show up for your own writing? I want you to practice this over the next couple weeks. If I knew, insert your specific desire with your book. If I knew that would happen, how would I show up right now? What would I do today? When you start taking yourself seriously, you stop giving caveats. No more, it's pretty messy and not very good. Instead, you say, oh, I'm writing a memoir about my nomadic childhood and it's in revisions right now. Swap the question to yourself from, would anyone even like this? To, do I like this? Is it saying what I need it to say? When you take yourself seriously, you show up after setbacks. The writers who get published are the ones who are freakishly resilient. Like, that is just the simple truth of it. The writers who get published are the ones who are the most resilient. Not necessarily the ones who are most talented. You do have to be talented. You do have to hone that skill. But more than anything, you need to be resilient. You will get rejection letters. You may not have the pre-order numbers that you wanted. The editor that you hired may not have been a good fit. Publishing your memoir is not a linear process, and you have to be resilient. You have to exercise that muscle. Get your bounce back rate really high, okay? After a setback, decide how long you need to feel your feelings, because I don't want you to just shove the feelings down, process them, but it can really help to give yourself a timeline. How long do I want to feel this way? How long do I need to sit in this? And then get back in the saddle, then get moving. Ask yourself again, okay, if I knew that this worked out, what would I do right now? How would I handle this feeling? When you take yourself seriously, you start publishing in ways that are fully in your control right now. I'm talking start a Substack, an Instagram account, even a podcast, submit work to magazines, get your story out there right now. In the year of our Lord 2026, as a writer, there are 1,000,001 ways to take yourself seriously in a public way, to get your work out now. Pick one way to start publishing and start. It doesn't matter whether you're publishing traditionally or self-publishing. You can get your words out there right now. So do it. This is one area where you do not need permission. You do not need permission. You don't need a gatekeeper to grant you entrance. Just do it. And if you're feeling resistance there, ask yourself, where am I not taking myself seriously? Why? Why do I not take myself seriously enough to do this right now? When you take yourself seriously, you decide that you are the author. This is not a defensive, I don't need any criticism kind of attitude, but more of, I can trust myself to say what I need to say. I can trust myself to partner with the right professionals. I can trust myself to get my story in the hands of readers in a way that feels really good to my nervous system. You get to trust yourself as a writer and as an author. You get to clap the loudest for yourself. You get to learn new skills and refine your craft. Taking yourself seriously as a memoir author is a balanced blend between that delusional confidence, what would I do today if I knew, and a willingness to pivot and learn. As your editor, I can pump you up until I'm blue in the face. But if you don't believe what I'm telling you, that your story is deep, impactful, compelling, then I'm just an expensive cheerleader, not an editor, not a creative partner. A cheerleader will not get you to publication. A creative partner will. But a creative partner like me, like an editor, will only actually help you if you show up as a creative partner as well. And to do that, you have to take yourself seriously. Stop apologizing for writing your story, for writing your memoir. If you're listening to this episode, maybe you're feeling a little called out, but now you're wondering how to tap into that energy, that delusional, confident, fun energy, then I want you to go straight into the show notes and download the Magnetic Memoir Prompt Pack. This is a free resource that is the first step that you can take to actually taking yourself seriously as a memoir writer. It's going to shift your headspace, shift your perspective as a writer. Go through that pack. Let me know what comes up for you. Genuinely, I would love to hear from you on my Instagram. I am on Instagram at the.memoir.coach, or you can also email me at hello@bookishedits.com. I want to know what comes up for you in this prompt pack. I created this not realizing how foundational it would be to the work that I do with writers. Even the writers who are in my paid spaces have gone through that free resource, and they say, oh my gosh, that unlocked something completely different for me. Thank you so much for listening today. I cannot wait to hear about your memoir. And I want you to remember over and over that you get to take yourself seriously. You get to be your own cheerleader, because that is the energy that will get you noticed. I love doing this work. I love being your creative partner. And I love it when I can see you love what you're doing. That's the work. That is the key. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you next week. You've just listened to an episode of the Memoir Method Podcast. The Memoir Method Podcast is presented by Charlotte Wrights. If you liked what you heard, the best way to support the show is to subscribe through your preferred podcast player. And if you're feeling especially inspired, I'd love it if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Leaving a review really does help other readers and writers like yourself find the show. If you want to continue the conversation, you can find me on my website at charlottewrites.co or on Instagram at charlottejanewrites. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time. And remember that you have a story that matters.